You've chained it up, locked the fork, parked it under a streetlight, maybe even set the alarm and walked away feeling smug. Hate to break it to you, but if a thief wants your bike, there's a damn good chance he'll take it anyway. Because motorcycle theft isn't about luck, it's about technique. And these guys, they've got more techniques than a Moto GP pit crew with a grudge. They don't just steal bikes, they hunt them. Quietly, methodically, and usually without anyone noticing until it's long gone and sitting in a shipping container headed overseas. So, if you think your disc lock or cheap GPS tag is keeping your bike safe, buckle up. Today we're diving into the real tricks motorcycle thieves use. The silent ones, the brutal ones, and the ones that make your security system look like a doorstop. And more importantly, how to actually stop them. Let's go. Number 1. The lift and van method. This is the gold standard of fast, silent theft. 3 guys, 1 van, and a few seconds of teamwork. No keys, no grinding, no alarms getting triggered, just brute force. 1 grabs the handlebars, 1 grabs the tail, and 1 slides open the van door. In under 30 seconds, your 400-pound pride and joy is gone without a sound. And if you're thinking, well, I had a disc lock on, doesn't matter. That's just extra weight they're lifting. Chains, great. But if they're not anchored to something solid, they're lifting the bike and the chain straight into the van. This method is stupidly effective in urban areas where sport bikes and scooters are crammed together on sidewalks or parked in open lots. And the worst part? People see it happen and assume it's just a group of mechanics or friends helping move a bike. Nobody wants to intervene. How to stop it? Anchor your bike. Seriously, lock it to something immovable, like a ground anchor or a steel pole. Better yet, park next to something even more stealable and hope they're lazy. If you can't anchor it, make it look harder to steal than the next guy's. Thieves don't want to work harder than they need to. And if you see 3 dudes loading a bike into a van at 2 a.m., it's not an Uber for motorcycles. Call the cops. Number 2. Angle grinder through the disc lock. This one's brutal, loud, and still terrifyingly effective. A cordless angle grinder can chew through your fancy $150 disc lock like it's warm butter. 10 seconds, maybe 15 if it's a high-end one. But no lock is invisible when you're up against spinning death metal. The part that really stings, most people won't do a thing when they hear that sound. They'll glance over, see someone hunched over a motorcycle with a tool and think, maintenance I guess. They won't even get out of their car. That's the sad reality. Angle grinders have become invisible in public, and thieves know it. These guys don't care about the sparks or the noise. They work fast, and if they're slick, they'll bring a jacket or vest to look like they're fixing something. Daylight doesn't matter. Boldness is their armor. You could double up your security, chain plus disc lock, or maybe even a grip lock too, but once a grinder comes out, your only real defense is time. Multiple layers of security mean more cuts and more time. And time is the one thing thieves don't want to waste. If you hear the sound of a grinder outside at night, don't ignore it. You're not hearing DIY, you're hearing felony in progress. Number 3. Freezing the lock. Cryo trick. This one feels like something out of a spy movie, but it's very real and way too simple. All it takes is a cheap can of compressed air, the kind you'd buy to clean a keyboard. Flip it upside down, spray it on your lock for a few seconds, and boom, frozen solid. Hit it with a hammer, and it shatters like glass. No grinder, no noise, just a pop, and your bike is now up for grabs. The worst part, it works best on budget locks, the kind most people buy because they think, hey, at least I got something on there. Yeah, well, that something is about as strong as a frozen banana. Now, will this trick work on high-end hardened steel locks? Not always. Some modern designs are built to resist extreme cold or have materials that don't fracture as easily. But plenty of common disc locks, chain links, and padlocks are still vulnerable. It's fast, quiet, and leaves no suspicious grinding marks. So when you see your lock cracked in two on the ground, you'll probably just think it snapped on its own. But nope. Someone flash froze your security and walked away with your bike. If you want real protection, invest in locks rated for extreme resistance. Ice, impact, and all. Don't forget to anchor your bike, because the only thing easier to steal than a bike with a cheap lock is a bike that isn't locked to anything at all. Number 4. Fake breakdown disguise. This one's genius in the worst kind of way. The thief doesn't sneak around. He doesn't run. He walks right up in broad daylight, helmet on, maybe a reflective vest, and starts pushing the bike like it's just another breakdown. People glance over, think, "Oh, poor guy," and move on with their day. No one questions a stranded rider. Sometimes they even fiddle with the bars and pretend they're fixing something or lean over like they're diagnosing a flat. Add a backpack full of tools or just look the part, and the disguise is complete. It works because we expect thieves to act shady. This guy looks like you when your battery dies. And the worst part? It's damn near impossible to prove anything if someone stops him. "Oh, I just lost my key, just moving it a block home." That's not suspicious. It's relatable. The solution? Make casual theft impossible. A disc lock with a motion alarm, a chain to something solid, even a bright reminder cable. All of that breaks the illusion. If it's obviously locked, it can't be just broken down. Suddenly, the guy looks like what he really is, a criminal. Remember, your best defense isn't just hardware. It's making sure the theft looks like a theft. Number 5. Removing the wheel. So, you thought locking the front wheel was enough. That's cute. But real thieves don't always try to defeat the lock. They just remove the damn wheel. I'm serious. They'll show up with a dolly, a buddy, and maybe even a replacement wheel. In under 5 minutes, they've unbolted your locked front, popped the bike on their own wheel, or dragged it off using the rear tire only. You'd be amazed how little effort it takes when they've done this 100 times. Sport bikes and scooters are their prime targets, especially if parked on soft ground or near curbs, anything that makes jacking up the front easier. You think you're safe because your disc lock is in place, but they're not going through the lock, they're going around it. It doesn't even look suspicious. Someone bending over a wheel with tools looks like maintenance, especially in daylight, especially if they're dressed halfway decently. And by the time you realize your bike's missing, it's already on a lift, stripped down, or halfway to another country. The fix here is stupid simple. Lock through the frame or rear wheel to an immovable object. A disc lock is fine as backup, but if the whole front end can come off, then you're basically locking the part they don't need. Secure the thing they can't remove, and they'll move on. Number 6. Defeating steering locks with a quick twist. You'd think a steering lock would at least slow them down, right? Nah. On a lot of bikes, especially older or budget models, the factory steering lock is about as strong as a pretzel rod. Thieves don't bother picking it. They just grab the bars and give them a sharp, violent twist. Snap, lock's broken, and now the bike steers freely like nothing ever happened. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book. Quick, brutal, and effective. And unless you know what you're looking for, you won't even see the damage right away. From a distance, it looks like someone just pushing their bike down the road. No tools, no noise, no suspicion. And here's the kicker. Some bikes have the ignition and steering lock integrated, so if the thief breaks the lock, they've also cracked half of your ignition security. That's a 2-for-1 deal for them. The way to fight this? Add redundancy. Steering locks are meant to be a first line of defense, not your only one. A disc lock, a chain, or even a handlebar lock clamp can add a few seconds of hesitation that makes the thief skip your bike and find an easier one. Because if all you're counting on is that little click from turning the bars left and turning the key, you're gambling with an open wallet. Number 7. Picking the ignition or swapping ECUs. If your bike still uses a traditional key, especially one from the early 2000s or earlier, bad news. Picking the ignition is child's play. Thieves use something called a jiggler key. It's basically a skeleton key that simulates all the right tumblers. Stick it in, wiggle it around, and boom! Your bike thinks you got the real key. No hot wiring, no damage, just old school lockpicking made faster. But newer bikes are also not immune. In fact, some are easier in a different way. If your seat latch is weak, or if the seat's not even locked, thieves can get underneath and swap the ECU or ignition module with one they brought from another bike. The pre-programmed one accepts their key or even has no immobilizer at all. They plug it in, turn the key, and roll off like they just bought it. This is especially true on modded sport bikes where people bypass security features for convenience, or because they install cheap aftermarket parts. The very stuff meant to make your bike cooler often makes it easier to steal. The best defense? If your bike is old, get a physical ignition cover or a lock plug. If it's new, make sure the seat and ECU area can't be accessed without serious tools. And don't underestimate the power of a simple alarm that goes off the second they touch anything. Because thieves like it quiet, fast, and easy. You just have to ruin one of those three. Number 8. Parking lot trailers. This one's downright creepy and shockingly effective. You're out at a dealership, a bike night, or a gas station, minding your own business. A stranger compliments your ride, maybe asks a couple of questions, then walks away. You hop on and head home, never giving it another thought. They followed you. Bike thieves often scope out events or spots where nice bikes gather. They're not looking to steal it right there. They're scouting. Once they see something worth taking, they trail you quietly until you park it somewhere more isolated. Maybe at your house. Maybe a garage with no cameras. Maybe a spot they can come back to later that night. And you just unknowingly gave them the address, layout, and parking habits. This trick is used on high-end bikes all the time, especially those with obvious aftermarket mods. But even basic models get tailed if they're clean and unattended. The fix? Always be unpredictable. If you sense anything off, like a car behind you for too long, take a weird route or pull into a public lot and see if they follow. Don't post your home location on ride forums, and consider using a GPS tracker tucked inside the bike. It won't prevent theft, but it might just get you your ride back, and ruin someone's night in the process. Number 9. Disabling alarms with wire cutters. Let's say you did everything right. You installed a decent alarm system, hid the siren under the seat, maybe even used a motion sensor. You feel pretty safe leaving your bike in the lot while you grab coffee. Here's the ugly truth. Most motorcycle alarms are child's play for a seasoned thief. Why? Because they know exactly where to look. On most bikes, the alarm module is located under the seat or in the tail section. A couple of screws or just some body panels, easy to remove. Some thieves don't even bother with tools. They know where your wires are routed, especially if you got a popular model. One quick snip with wire cutters and boom, your fancy $300 alarm system is as useless as a wet match. Even worse, some alarms don't have battery backups. That means once the wires are cut, it's game over. No tracking, no sound, no blinking red light to scare them off. Just silence and a disappearing motorcycle. So what's the move? If you're gonna use an alarm, hide it like the crown jewels. Zip tie the module in a weird place. Wrap the wiring in loom, and make sure it's as frustrating as possible to trace. Add redundancy, like a separate GPS tracker or mechanical lock, because when one thing fails, you'll wish you had a plan B. Number 10. Hiding behind marketplaces, fake sellers or buyers. Thieves don't always come at you with bolt cutters or relay hacks. Sometimes they come wearing a smile and pretending to buy your bike. Here's how it works. You list your motorcycle on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, or any other resale platform. You get a message from someone who seems interested. They ask basic questions, maybe even lowball you a little, just enough to seem legit. Then they ask where the bike is parked or where they can swing by and take a look. You've just handed them everything they need. Other times it's reversed. They post a fake listing for a bike at an unbelievable price. You show up with cash, excited to score a deal, only there's no bike, and you're suddenly surrounded by guys who aren't there to make a deal. It's not always about violence either. Sometimes they just use the info to come back later and steal your bike while you sleep. The best defense? Never share your exact location unless you've verified the buyer. Meet in public spots with cameras, ideally near a police station. Don't give out garage photos, license plates, or details that could give away your address. And if a deal feels too good to be true, it's bait. Number 11. Relay attack on keyless bikes. This one feels like magic. Black magic if you're the one getting robbed. If your motorcycle has a keyless ignition system, you might think it's safer because it's high-tech. But thieves have figured out how to exploit that very convenience using something called a relay attack. Here's how it goes. One guy stands near your house, scanning for your key fob signal. The other guy stands by your bike. Using a relay device, they extend the fob signal from inside your home all the way to the bike. The bike thinks the key is right there, unlocks, powers on, and just like that, they ride away. It's quiet. No smashing, no alarms, no drama. In fact, your neighbors probably just assume it's you going for a ride. These devices used to be rare, but they're getting cheaper and more available. That means any thief with a couple $100 and 10 minutes of YouTube time can figure it out. Your best defense? Get a Faraday pouch for your key fob. It blocks the signal entirely when you're not riding. And never rely on just the keyless system alone. Use a lock, an alarm, even a tracker if you got one. High-tech thieves require high-tech defenses. Number 12. Plate swap and ride away. This one's sneaky, and it works way more often than you'd think. Imagine you're parked on the street or even in your driveway. Everything looks fine. Your bike's locked up, alarmed, you're feeling good. Then along comes a thief, not in a hoodie with bolt cutters, but dressed like a regular rider. They casually approach, pull a stolen or fake license plate out of their jacket, and swap it with yours. Boom! Now your bike's officially not yours anymore. With the swapped plate, they can roll it off a few blocks, start working on disabling any alarms or trackers, and by the time you even notice it's missing, they've already blended in with traffic. Police cameras won't flag the plate. Bystanders won't bat an eye. Even if someone reports a bike theft, they'll describe the wrong plate number. It's a tactic that thrives on how invisible it looks. You'd never stop someone just fiddling with a license. Most folks assume it's a quick repair or maybe the owner replacing tags. But it's actually one of the smartest ways to ride off with a stolen bike in plain sight. Want to protect yourself? Use tamper-proof screws on your plate. And if you're parked in public often, maybe a small discreet GPS tracker under the seat isn't such a paranoid move after all. At the end of the day, motorcycle thieves don't need to be smart, they just need you to be lazy. Every trick we covered today works not because it's some Hollywood-level heist, but because the average rider thinks, it won't happen to me. But the truth is, it can. And it does. Thousands of bikes vanish every year, and many of them are never seen again. Not because the locks were bad, but because the habits were worse. So if you learned something today, good. If it scared you a little, even better. Take 2 minutes tonight to walk outside, look at your bike and ask yourself, if I wanted to steal this thing right now, how easy would it be? And then fix that. If you've ever had a close call or a stolen bike story, drop it in the comments. I guarantee someone else will learn from it. And if you found this video helpful, give it a like so YouTube doesn't hide it like your stolen Gixxer. Ride safe, park smarter, and lock it like someone's already watching.